Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 8 of What If Naruto Was the Legendary Neglected Uzumaki. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the brand new episode over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto Was Put Through Hell and Adopted by the Raikage, and enjoy that guys. And also, stay tuned for a brand new episode over Anime King 3 tonight for you guys to enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Naruto was home once again. Yet he didn't feel that rather excitement at being home once again. Perhaps it was different because of his younger days were now behind him. As he made his way towards his safe house after that, where Itachi was. As Itachi looked rather exhausting. Being on Anbu was surely a stressing duty, as the both of them talked for a while, until they had to separate. As Naruto knew that the time was coming as he continued to make his way on his patrol. It was then that he saw someone leaping from rooftop, heading towards the forest of death. Something was rather strange about this person because they weren't following any of the Anbu protocol moves, or the police force move. So Naruto followed the person. It was a man. It was a man from Kumo, as it was a trick. The proceedings were going on tonight were them signing the formal affidavits so that they could have a bond between Kumo. But there was a clause in that bond. If a Kumo ninja was to die on Konoha property, despite everything, Konoha would be the one to be blamed. As Naruto saw the man and the hostage, so he had to tread lightly. The man came over as Naruto was acting like a simple civilian to knock out Naruto, but in a flash, chains erupted and grabbed the man, removing the hostage from him. As Naruto decided to do his own interrogation right there, as he skewered the man through his shoulder, as a cry of pain and agony came from the man's throat. The Anbus arrived, as Hayashi arrived as well, as he quickly went and checked on his daughter Hinata, who was fine. As the Anbus told Naruto to hand the man over, and they also took him as they made their way towards the tower, as he informed his father about what happened. His father came to talk to him after that, as he wanted to bring him towards the Chunin exams at Kumo, as Naruto would be a great show of his strength there. As Naruto agreed with that, although he would have to be placed in a team. Being placed in a team meant something else, as Naruto had to quit the police force as he thanked him for his service. But it seems like everything was just starting as Fukaku appreciated all of Naruto's help. With his help, they were able to turn the police force around, as people now saw them as a ray of hope, a hope of sunshine for them to call upon if they ever need any help for their problems. Minato was discussing as Danzo was the one to drop the man off back at his village. The Raikage was pissed off as the man was just placed in his office. No Anbus were alerted as Danzo people were able to do it so swiftly. But the Raikage was going to give Konoha a damn thing. Yes, he was becoming too lax. It seems like his reputation has been faltering as he will flash. But Minato was going to prove that wrong, as he was going to go to Kiri and offer them his assistance. He was going to help the rebels. In doing so, he was going to show the world once again why he was known as Yellow Flash, why he's Konoha Hokage, as his son will be greatly beneficial on the battlefield as well. As Minato was sure with Naruto's ultimate defense, not even an S-rank ninja or his abilities would be able to get through it no matter what. As Naruto was placed in a team, as it was the same boy at the academy that was trying to bully him that Naruto put on that fake smile for, and his sensei, rather normal people, as the sensei was rather surprised. But it seems that Naruto would be the one carrying this team because his team wasn't really anything special. But that didn't matter at the moment. It was all a hoax. Anyway, so yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across it, please check it up yourself so you can begin this new episode. You know, if my father finds out that you brought me food, I will be in trouble, right? Said Naruto, as he looked towards Izumi, who brought him food. The man said that he would have to take care of himself if he wanted to live on his own, and Izumi could not bring him anything. He was always being taken care of, so he never had to focus on much things. A lesson in life, perhaps. But it did not matter much to him. He was just happy that he got his independence. He'd always wanted his freedom. He could walk around his space naked and no one could say anything about it, or would say anything about it. I know, said Izumi. She placed a plastic bag on the coffee table as she sat down beside Naruto calmly. This is just takeout, she said. I bought it on my way out, knowing that you will be dining with ramen, she said. What was wrong with that, Naruto asked. After all, food was just food. As long as he eat and got full, there should be no complaining about it. Ramen was easy to make anyway. You need to eat other food to maintain a healthy diet. You won't grow well if ramen is your only intake. So far, you have grown splendidly because I've been making food that help your body, and your training makes sure your physical health is good as well. Naruto tilted his head to the side as he shrugged. There's healthy food in the outside as well. I can't be picky about what I eat anyway. D-rank payment is rather pathetic. I cannot pay my rent with it. What happened to your savings, she asked. You were getting paid well at military police and your mother was giving you an allowance, said Izumi. My rent is a bit too much, said Naruto. Well, that is what you get for renting one of the most expensive property in Konoha. Since I usually eat out, I spend more on food. Every day is training, so every week I must get new clothes. I have weapons in stock, and maintaining my sword is rather expensive, and these shirts were specifically made for me. More custom jobs that dig deep holes in my pockets. Izumi smiled. There was a lot of things that he had to cover, and she was sure by the end of this month, if he kept on doing the ranks, he would exhaust his savings. He needed to do missions that would pay him enough to survive, especially since that his parents were not going to give him anything anymore. Welcome to the adult world, she said, with a smile still on her face. Your father is just trying to teach you how to be responsible. You're going to be clan head, and to be honest, you're really irresponsible. You're only responsible when it comes to your training. Responsibilities are hard work, said Naruto. I think my father's a sadist though. From catching criminals in the street to chasing after damn cats. This is a torture, and I bet he's enjoying himself. Don't say that, Naruto, she said. I actually came because I have a message from Yoshino. She said that if she hears that you're doing anything that will shame the clan, she says she will come here personally and drag you back to the compound to re-educate you on the matters that you've forgotten. Naruto snorted. She will never stop trying to control my life, he said. You were heard, he said. It's not like there's something bad I'm gonna do anyway. I know, she said. The old hag said that she will start teaching Karen next year. This will prepare her to handle matters of the clan as your younger sister. There is an agreement if you can't be full-time clan head, then Karen will stand in for you. That will also save her, said Naruto, from the cruelty of the shinobi world. With being kept in the village to handle clan matters, she won't be forced to fight. Her brother can handle the fighting for her, said Naruto. Time skip, a week later. In Naruto's apartment, Naruto was preparing himself as he stocked his weapons. His first mission outside the village with his team. This was a real mission. Rank did not matter at this stage. Sword was prepared. Shuriken and kunais were packed up in his pouch. With that, he sealed everything away in a scroll beside his sword. Placed a scroll on the nightstand. The mission was for tomorrow morning after all. He looked at the kunai his father gave him. It was for protection. This was his first mission, and it wasn't like anyone be waiting outside to ambush them. And he was sure that his defense could protect him against any ambush as well. As he took the 3-pronged kunai and placed on the nightstand, as he smiled, everything was set. Everything was ready. But it was still noon. There was still a couple of hours left in this day, and he still had a session with his father that was supposed to be happening at Training Ground 44. As the redhead decided to leave the apartment towards Training Ground, but as he was leaving, Itachi appeared. Going somewhere, he asked. Naruto nodded. We're going to test the combo jutsu and do some final runs for my jutsus, he said. We, said Itachi. Me and my father, said Naruto. You do know he plans on taking me to a civil war, right? It was a rather shocking surprise. Well, it seemed that the man finally understood that he was a shinobi, and he could not shield him away from the life that a shinobi brings. Besides, he could not drag other people's children if he wasn't willing to drag his own child. It would make things easier for him with the people, knowing that he was able to bring his own son. As Naruto knew that he would be doing things on that mission that would be dreading, but he wouldn't dread over it. He would just wait and see what it brings. His father was just making sure that he was prepared. There would be a lot of opponents to face, and he could not be looking at him at all times. My father told me, said Itachi, as both him and Naruto walked side by side. Why did your father choose you exactly? There must be more to the reasons, he explained. The Mizukage is a Jinchuriki. He wants to display the power of the Uzumaki as well. If the Biju does come out, I will have to hold it down with my chains, like my mother does the Kyuubi, and he can work on suppressing the chakra from the man. I see, said Itachi. That explains a few things. Your father has really put a lot of thought in these things. Konoha will not lose anything, and although you will have blood on your hands once again, you will gain something valuable. Well, this could also have a negative backlash. After all, the Mizukage was still a Kage, and Naruto and Minato would be assisting the rebels. But what the man was doing was unthinkable, and he needed to be stopped. But as much as this would benefit Konoha, other villages will see this as Konoha taking strive, probably trying to take over the land of Kira, or perhaps trying to gain a different ally to help them in preparing for war. But it was just two people, not an army going towards Kira. It was just a Hokage and his son. But still, what would Kumo and the stone do when they discover this? Are you ready for it? Asked Itachi. That doesn't have to be answered, said Naruto. I have the Chunin exams coming up. That will need my full attention. I will be surrounded by enemies, and I will have to be on my toes at all times. Well, I have my jutsu. Itachi shook his head. Don't put your life on it, Naruto. Don't. Depend on it that much, he said. When you start depending on your jutsu, you will grow arrogant and overconfident. One day, when you're not able to use it, you will be helpless. My father has taught me that I cannot become too dependent on the Sharingan. I must know how to fight without it. As Naruto looked up for a moment, my father has also said something like that. Naruto-kun. The both of them stopped as he heard a feminine voice, but Naruto did not look back. As Itachi asked, what's the problem? As a teenage girl was walking towards the two, holding a small basket, fan of yours, said Itachi. Something like that, said Naruto as he turned. As he smiled at the girl, Itachi-kun, the girl said. As Itachi nodded, I've been looking for you everywhere since you returned. Have you not been in the streets? Are you off, she said. As Naruto shook his head, I've been relieved of my duties, he said. My colleagues said I've been taking the spotlight, and the beautiful girls. I was forced to leave the force because of it. As he said that with a charming smile towards the girl giggled warmly. I wouldn't mind if you patrol the streets, despite not being a member of the police, military force. She said that smile. I would be in trouble if I do that, said Naruto. Look at this, as he pointed at Itachi's stoked face. Imagine 10 more of that, with evil intent. Do you think I would survive? She shook her head. No. They would mess up your pretty face, she said. I'm glad I found you today, she said. I have this for you. You didn't have to do that, princess, said Naruto. You could have just left it at the ramen stand. The girl gave him the basket with a smile. I wanted to do it in person, and I could not gain entrance in your clan compound. You should just tell me where you're living. I hear that you're living outside the compound. I could have just bring it to you there. Naruto smiled. I won't be in the village for the next days. Missions. We will make new arrangements when I return. As much as I would like to stay in your delightful presence, I've been summoned by the Hokage, and you know when he calls you, you have to go running. She understood as she said a few words before rushing away from the two. As Naruto turned and started to walk once again, what he said, as Itachi was staring at him. What was that all about? I've never seen you act like that. Civilians, you must be gentle with them. During my time on the police force, I've learned how to act with people, all of a kind. You cannot treat a woman the same way you treat a man. Why? Is she giving you food? Said Itachi. You know, I live on my own. My father has forbidden Izumi from bringing me food. She was willing to cook lunch for me after I saved her from an unfortunate incident, and I was not willing to refuse. Besides, it was good. Eating something other than ramen, he said lightly. Itachi merely shook his head. Are you going to eat that? He said. Naturally, she put her efforts in to cook this. I cannot allow it to go to waste. Besides, times are tough, he said. We are forced to do high missions with less money. Konoha could not survive if we start to charge higher for the missions that we're doing at the moment, said Itachi. But because Konoha ninjas are being targeted, C rank become A rank and B rank. You will not find a C rank that is outside of the borders, said Itachi. But this is not affecting the client, said Naruto, or they will feel the weight of paying more money. Konoha is forced to keep the rates low. Being a shinobi is difficult these days. Those not earning enough turn to odd jobs while some of them do crime, said Naruto. If things don't change, things will only worsen. I think this is why your father is taking the risk of taking you to Kumo and involved in the village in Kira's civil war, said Itachi. Envoys are dealing with a problem though. That is why we have been the busiest. Enemy shinobis have been handled by us, and we have driven most out of the country and near our borders. As the two conversed until they made their way, as Naruto was surprised to see Fukaku here as well. What took you? He said. as he raised an eyebrow towards a basket that Naruto was holding. What is that? My lunch, said Naruto. A delightful girl made it for me, he said with a smile. A girl name that you don't even know, said Itachi, as he looked the other way. As Naruto turned towards him, I never said that. The only reason why you call her princess is because you don't know her name. I assume. Because you know your way around girls. You're not afraid to ask because it might infuriate her. And she will stop giving you lunch, Itachi said. Anyone would be insulted by that. Minato looked at Naruto. I didn't know that you were becoming like that. But you're cheating our agreement, said Minato. Oh, said Naruto. I'm merely taking advantage of a loophole. You still have work to do, right? Shall we get down to it? Minato nodded as he motioned for Naruto to come close as Naruto placed on the basket. Don't forget, the elemental chakra must be balanced at a ratio 2 to 4. A mistake, and this will leave the both of us wounded. I know, our clones have already experienced the feeling. And I have already had enough accident. Let us, he said. Naruto held out his right hand as he formed a Rasengan. He then held out his left hand as he started to pour wind chakra into the Rasengan. At the same time, Naruto was holding out his hand, pouring fire chakra into the Rasengan. Jutsu started to take form of a shuriken as he started to spin around that screeching sound. The blades were engulfed by flames, as well as the center. The spinning blades released some hot breeze. The both of them started to sweat as the form was complete. But when Naruto stopped pumping chakra into the jutsu, Minato cursed shit. As he failed to control it, he grabbed Naruto and flashed away. Boom! The thing exploded. A mixture of fire and wind, the wind making the fire enormous. The breeze burst around, causing debris to pick up as a massive mushroom cloud hung over the forest. They had to shield their eyes and avoid being blown away by the massive gust of wind. It took a few moments for the explosion to die down, but when it did die down, there was a massive gaping hole. Fukaku had slightly wide eyes to what his Sharingan saw as he turned to face the both of them. I see why you wanted the help of the Sharingan, he said. If you would have been caught in that explosion, I don't know what kind of pain you would have experienced, but it will be a quick death. I don't know whether from the intense flames or the thousands of small blades that would have pierced through your body. But one thing is certain though, if someone get caught up in that, there will not be a shred of existence that is left behind. Itachi looked on. He never thought that the two would create something so lethal and dangerous. It should not be used like a Rasengan because if you use your hand, you will lose the ability to use chakra through it. I figured that much, said Minato. We will learn how to throw it. It shouldn't be that difficult seeing that it has wind inside of it. As Fukaku nodded, it will take a lot of chakra. Too much chakra, said Minato. 2 is the limit. I'll have to supplement it with Sage Jutsu. It will give me more stamina and chakra to be able to throw it. What went wrong? It became unstable as soon as Naruto stopped adding his chakra. You had to balance the form and give it power. It would be impossible for normal people. Since we don't have Sage Jutsu now, how about we try it differently? Well, I'm open to suggestions, said Minato. Naruto control over chakra is exceptional. Both of you have exceptional chakra control, which is why you can pull this off, said Fukaku. But I will be guiding you with a Sharingan until you can get the hang of it. Minato, you create the base of a jutsu and hurl it. He then turned to Naruto. The moment it's released, Naruto, you will have to act within seconds. I see what you mean, said Minato. It will be like how I use my wind breakthrough, the conversion of your small fireball jutsu. But Naruto, you will have to do it quick because you will do it after the jutsu is released. As Naruto spoke, you do understand I will have to consider the rotation of your jutsu for the flames to blend slightly with your jutsu as well. I must know when to stop because if I don't, it will explode. And I must also be running behind the jutsu to do this. You make it sound a bit difficult, said Minato, but you don't have a problem with releasing your fire jutsu. Itachi spoke. This isn't something that can be used while you still have multiple opponents to face. What about Naruto jutsu? He was only to come up with a ball of flames. So we had an idea to fuse it together with our two elements. But my son has also created an S-rank jutsu. Both Uchihas looked towards Naruto, who simply gave him a small smile. We will do it after we try this, said Naruto. It is quite taxing, so this will have to come first. Time skip. At Kumo, A looked at the man who had failed him, as A had a rather stern expression on his face as he looked down towards the man. He was still not going to bow down to Konoha demands. It was not like they would do anything that would incite war. No, they would not. They were weak people who were afraid to take up arms and march inside the battleground. The only reason the third war ended was because the stone feared Minato's power, while A did not fear it. He was fast himself. This was why he was willing to make this choice. He just hoped that Konoha would not go public with this though. If the Leaf did this, he would get backlash from the feudal lord with some stern words. As he looked down towards the man, as he looked towards Makodo, I am giving you an opportunity to redeem yourself, he said, in a harsh tone. I received intelligence that Minato's son has been spotted outside the village, doing missions. You are going into the fire country, and one of my envoys will lead you. You will be given information on how to handle things. The Raikage thought putting the red head in the bingo book would lead to some money, loving, grubbing people going after him. But no, nothing at all happened. So, he cooked up another plan. He didn't want the boy to be killed, he just wanted to see if he was strong, and if he was showing signs of Harashin. One was enough for him, but two, no, he couldn't have that at all. And from what Makodo said, the redhead had some hatred towards his village, and he couldn't let the redhead grow up to be a threat. Because if he was, he would have the boy killed before he could do anything. After all, sometimes problems had to be started before they start, causing damages. And he was not going to tell Makodo that he was suspecting that the boy was a Jinjulki of the Kyuubi. There was no information coming from the Hidden Leaf that suggested that though. No one knew who was a Jinjulki, but A had a guess if it would be anyone. It would be the man's son. But still, the Leaf had never used a Jinjulki in battle before. And if a war was to break out right now, he doubted that they would use it. Makodo smiled at that. Finally, he could get some payback. He could make that brat suffer for the humiliation that he had to go through. He could not walk with his head hung high anymore because he was a laughingstock. Everyone saw him as such. He was a weak, pathetic Jonin who got defeated by a brat. You want me to kill the brat or bring him back to you, said Makodo. As A took a stern look towards the man. No, he said. I didn't put him in the bingo book, so I can have his head. He's just a mere brat, and no, you're not going to kill him. I want you to test him. I want you to push him to his limits and see what he's gonna do. And when you're done, return back to the village with the report. Makodo frowned slightly, but he nodded, as he was not going to make any complaints as a man had been lenient with his punishment. This was his chance to make up for his punishment, and he will not fail. When should I depart? Now, the Raikage said. Head towards the fire country border. Once you reach there, an envoy will find you. Leave now. Yes, sir. I will not fail you, Raikage-sama. I expect nothing less, said the Raikage. Do remember, if Konoha Shinobi find you in the fire country, they will attack you. You are also placed in your bingo books, and they put a bounty on your head. If you fool around, you will die. Makodo didn't know that. He didn't know that Konoha would react this way after the Raikage refused to give up his head. Time skip. 2 days later, somewhere in the fire country, as Naruto was currently walking on the right side of the client that they were guarding, they were coming from the Hidden Leaf going to Takamai in the Land of Rivers. This was his 5th mission outside the village, a C rank with the potential of becoming an A rank. They have completed 1 C rank and 3 B rank. There had been nothing that pushed past that other B rank. It wasn't really difficult to make the Hokage think that they would need any extra help. Sensei, not to call out to their sensei, my hero said, towards the smartest member of the team. It wasn't that Naruto or Tetsuya was idiots. Well, Tetsuya wasn't that smart. And for Naruto, well, it was Naruto. The redhead didn't involve himself in many things unless it was required. He wouldn't just come with a plan or work out 10 strategies unless he was needed to. But the boy had shown that he was more than capable. Even so, my hero would never leave Naruto in charge. The redhead had proven to be irresponsible. Natsumura, or Natsu, nickname for him, was suited to be the leader of the team. Amongst the two, I have been hearing that Naruto-san is going to participate in the June exams that are going to be held in Kumo. Granted, we're teammates. Does this mean our team is going to enter the exam as well? Asked Natsu. As far as I'm concerned, unless granted special permission by Akagi, one must enter the exam as a team. Whether you participate on the games or not will depend on me, said my hero. I will have to assess whether you're ready for the exams or not. During those exams, I will not be there. You will be alone. I have to consider that when making a decision, you're still first Jennings. Anything can happen. Personally, I don't think you're ready, said Natsu. But before he could say anything else, Tetsuya interrupted him. Speak for yourself, Natsu. I think I'm ready. We've been doing some difficult mission and we've been succeeded. I think we're ready to enter the exam. Natsu shook his head. You fail to realize our current success have been largely owed to Sensei and Naruto-san. Most of the time, we're just passenger in this team. In the exam, we will have to face one-on-one challenges and given your mental limits, you wouldn't be able to survive. Wait, are you calling me stupid? Tetsu asked with a glare. Why aren't you pointing a finger at him? As Tetsu pointed at Naruto, Naruto isn't stupid. Have you ever seen him making reckless decisions as you? Naruto alone is ready, said Natsu. There can be no doubts about that, but the rest of us are not. What will happen then? I don't know, my hero said. The Hokage will make a decision on what to do but I have not made a final decision on anything. Once we complete one more mission, I will make a decision. Don't you have any input, young Naruto? The client asks, watching the bickering going on between them. He never got to see what happened between team dynamics and how shinobis act on missions. As they were talking, though, Naruto hasn't said anything. He just kept quiet, so the client had to ask. There's not a need for me to add anything, said Naruto. I meant about Chunin exams, the client said. Well, I cannot miss this one chance. I know for sure I'll be going. Teams may be different, but I'll be going, said Naruto. Tetsu nodded. He has been genin for more or less 5 years. I say that's a record for someone who graduated early from the academy. You know, he said rather amused, and suddenly, don't feel so bad even if we miss this round. I'll still become Chunin far faster than you did. I mean, coming from being genin. Because you take at least 5+ years. While I'll get there quicker. The client focused on Naruto to wait for the outlash. Something, but there was absolutely nothing. Not a twitch, not a misfault in his step. Nothing at all. And that got Tetsu angry. That attitude of yours really angered me, you know? You should stand up more and fight for yourself like a man. As Naruto turned his head towards Genin, he shook his head as he looked away. I think fighting is more than just words, said the client. You're just blubbering this and that. And it's not nice. Naruto shook his head. Some things are not. He paused as Natsu raised his right hand, motioning everyone to stop. As he kneeled down, first footsteps, he said. Whoever passed through here did not pass long ago. If we are to avoid them, it's best we increase our pace. Having served in military police, Naruto knew that it was supposed to be investigated, but it was not his job, and the mission come first. Where are they heading? Asked my hero. 3 o'clock, Natsu said, as he pointed. Naruto, my hero said, create a clone and see what it is. We have to get away from here as fast as possible. As Naruto nodded and did as he was instructed. Alright, said my hero. You don't have a problem with me carrying you, right? I know it will be uncomfortable and embarrassing, but it is the only way for us to get a good distance away from this place. I can live with it, the client said. Excellent, my hero said. Let's go. The group took the trees as they hopped through the forest. They ran for about an hour without rest. Along the way, Naruto received the memories of his clone, but he did not say anything until the Jonin sensei called for them to stop. Nothing would have changed if they had said anything, and it wouldn't be proper conversation if they had talked while jumping through the trees. As they landed, taking a few moments to breathe, Naruto spoke. Bandits, around 10 of them. From what I was able to gather, they're heading towards the sound. They have about 20 victims with them. Granted, the victims are civilians. They won't be moving that quickly. My hero nodded as he pulled out his map. After a few minutes he spoke. We are about 25 to 30 minutes away from the border of River Country. Our responsibility is to get our client in to the border of River Country, and from the information Hokage-sama gave us, we will meet shinobis from Taki. I thought we would reach Takamai and rest before heading back, but we will have to stop at the borders if we meet the people we're supposed to meet. Will we be running or walking? Asked Natsu. We will have to run, said my hero. We will rest. Once we make it to the borders, we will take time to rest there, and we will have to run once again. If we do find the bandits when we return, we will have to rest once more before we engage them. We must first complete the mission. With everything clear, they took the ground instead of the trees, rushing towards the borders of the land of river. The client smiled as a wind hit his face, being carried. It was a bit uncomfortable, but he was not complaining. He was gonna get home safe, and he couldn't rush these shinobis for doing their job quickly. There was the idea that shinobis did not give a damn about who they were protecting or what it was regarding anything, because to them, everything was just a mission. But this was something that was good, to know that they would fight off bandits. There was a possibility that women and children were being used as well. He had been in the presence of other shinobis, and they would turn a blind eye to whatever they saw, just to complete the mission to get paid. This, he had little doubt that he made the wrong choice with trusting the Fourth Hokage. His shinobis uphold the moral responsibility. Then Konoha was a good village. The group came to a halt when entering the land of rivers. The client had told them what direction they should take. Both Tetsu and Natsu slumped down towards the ground, breathing heavily after the brisk run. But Naruto was standing there calmly. Hiro looked at the client and then at Shinobi in front of them. Allies. The man nodded in front of him. Mizu, he said, as one of Shinobi's walked forward. We're waiting in the wings in case your Shinobis come late. With things happening around the Fire Country, one can never be too safe. As he pulled out a scroll from his backpack, as he gave it to Mihiro, hand this to their Hokage, he thanked them for their service and disappeared, along with the Shinobis of Tanigakure. Team Mihiro rested for about an hour before they headed back to Fire Country. They made their way through the forest, rushing back to where the bandit had taken. They had to do some search before they arrived. They had to rest first though, before they could do anything. My hero looked at Naruto. They had all the information they needed. What they need to do now was execute their side mission. They could not avoid this matter. There was a moral responsibility that he had to uphold, and he was gonna pass it on to his team as well. It is likely that they would try to use their captives as shield, said my hero. As he looked towards Naruto, the redhead was the one who was working under such conditions before. And it would all be pointless if the people that they were trying to save got killed. That's a possibility, but there's a minimum chance of that actually happening, said Naruto. What I've come to understand in these things is, one woman is worth a lot. They are the merchandise, and they get paid over how many they bring in, said Naruto. Of course that isn't to say that they won't try any tricks. So how do we go about it? Tetsuya asked. We should head in first, said Naruto. They are just bandits, no shinobis amongst them. In terms of shinobi ranks, you can see that you're just genin. If we go out and make a show, they will turn their focus on us, and a number of them will be drawn towards us, said Naruto. He then looked towards the team leader. You can drop in and take out the ones surrounding the victims. My hero appeared to think for a few moments before speaking. Create 3 clones and transform them into 3 different people. 3 clones plus the 3 of you will make up for numbers. That means that if they do underestimate you because you're just kids, your numbers will force them to act otherwise. But there was no need for that, as Naruto brought his hand up. As there was 3 poof. As Naruto could create an illusion, a real illusion, as a young woman, Kushina and Minato appeared. He raised an eyebrow, but Natsu was one that spoke. I guess even bandits know about Konoha Yellow Flash. That will create some fear. And even though there's bandits, they should understand the danger. Why Kushina-san though? I've grown fond of her, said Naruto. Oh. Is Naruto in love with the older woman? Asked Tetsuya in a playful tone. As Naruto ignored him and looked towards Jonin-sensei. It is getting late, and after success, we will have to make a choice on whether we move on or camp out. My hero nodded. Let us move out, he said, as the 7 of them disappeared. The group of bandits meanwhile was sitting around a circle, with the women and children round up, were talking and laughing. The bound victims only had looks of fear and despair, perhaps already resigned themselves to what would happen when the bandits brought them towards a successful rendezvous point. Today delivery was low, one of the bandits said. When that man sent for us, I thought he had plenty of goods. You're greedy, boss, another one said. This stock is worth a lot more. As long as we don't run into that bloody snake Orochimaru, he would kill us and try to take all of our stock. That man have no sense of fair business transactions. He is becoming a problem in our line of work. Well, shinobis in a general are problems. They really think they own this world. But their war benefits us, the boss said. While they are busy killing each other, we get to work. Even at times like these, most of them ignore us for their missions and for their enemies. The man then paused. The fire, Hokage-sama. A voice called out, making the bandits got up in battle mode. The 4th Hokage? As the man landed a few feet away from them, Kushina and the other woman followed shortly. Sorry, Minato apologized. I sensed something sinister. I knew I had to come over here. One of the bandits pulled out a photo and looked at the 3. Hey, isn't that Konoha Yellow Flash? Well, it could be just one of those tricks they call genjutsu. One of the bandits said. Minato pulled out a kunai and threw it. In a fast motion, he blurred out of sight and appeared behind the bandit, holding on to the kunai. Am I fake? Asked, pulling the bandit close to him. In a sudden yank, his right hand chopped the man in the back of the neck as the man fell down. Shit, it's really him! Would you rather surrender, or do you want to do this hard way? Asked Minato. I would rather die trying. The moment one of the bandits said that, smoke bombs filled the entire place. Boss, where are you? I can't see. Hey, what is... As the man went quiet. When the smoke finally cleared, all the bandits were on the ground, all cold. You could have helped, you know, Tetsuya said, glaring at Naruto, as he had a small cut on his shoulder. You handled it well, said Naruto. There was no need for me to do anything. I did my fair share and helped you get into position. You could have taken them out without any trouble. You shouldn't be complaining. Hey, what if I receive a larger cut than this? As Naruto's are looking away, ignoring the man. When it appeared that Tetsuya would not stop, Tetsuya said my hero, stop it. What do we do about the situation, Sensei? Asked Natsu. There are bandits all around them, and a lot of women and 5 children. We will tie the bandits up and inform the Hokage. It is likely when we reach a hidden leaf though, Hunter and Nins would have disposed of them. We will bring the victims to Konoha. Leave them here would be risky. As they tied up all the bandits as he went to free the civilians. It took a few minutes of smooth thought to get them to realize that they were no longer in danger. They walked for a couple of hours before night came, as my hero allowed them to sleep as he stayed on guard duty. The next day, the journey towards Konoha was smooth, as they were able to spend the night without any attacks. Some of the women tried to escape in the night, They thought they were being kidnapped by evil man pretending to be Konoha Shinobi, and that this was all a trick, and that the group safely walked until it was afternoon. My hero told him to stop. As a kunai with the explosive tag was thrown in front of them, the tag exploded in front of the group. As Naruto had moved fast, he created a clone that created a barrier on the people. As a clone protected the people, my hero frowned as the enemies landed. A Kumo Jonin and 2 missing ends. This was a difficult situation. He didn't wish for his team to face something like this. At least they didn't have to worry about the civilians. Naruto had that covered. Yo, Uzumaki, you remember me? Makodo asked with a grin on his face. Naruto tilted his head to the side. Am I supposed to remember you? He said. It was on purpose. Of course you remember the man. Makodo frowned. Are you kidding me, brat? As he ripped off his shirt, showing the marks Naruto left on him. You did this to me. As he pulled a kunai and slashed his head back. And you're forcing me to make this decision. He snapped his finger as the names beside him charged towards the group. My hero dodged forward as he intercepted the two. He acted quickly and sent the other one flying. The other one tried to punch him, but he blocked and came on the punch, but the man blocked it as well. As Naruto showed no outward emotion seeing the sensei engage in battle, the two didn't look that strong. The problem was the man in front of him. He certainly held a grudge, and he looked more than ready to kill him. As Naruto knew what he had to do. You two, stay behind him, he said. What? You're gonna protect me now, Tetsuya said. Willingly, I will not. But this is a team, and I must follow the rules of engagements. I don't have a damn interest in two of you, said Makodo. I want him only. But if you interfere, I'll kill the both of you. And take him out. And reward myself with those goodies behind you. There was no escape. There was no running. This was a battle that Naruto didn't want to fight. This man was a Jonin, and there was too much situation that could go wrong. The civilians and his two teammates. He reached towards his pocket, but there was nothing. He left the damn kunai since the first mission. He didn't have it. Curses. Earth style, mud dragon, Makodo said, as he slammed both of his hands on the ground. The ground shook as the dragon rose up, as it speeded towards Naruto and his team. As Naruto released his chains, covered by flame as they ripped apart the dragon. I knew you would do that, said Makodo as he was arguing on Naruto's right side. His feet slammed into Naruto's shoulder, knocked him away from the team. Tetsu, don't, Natsu said. But Tetsu ignored him and charged towards Jonin. Makodo dodged a swipe that came towards his stomach as he grabbed Tetsu by the forehead. He lifted him off the ground and slammed him in the ground, hard, shattering it. Stupid brat. As the man walked off towards Naruto, dashed towards right head to quickly surround himself by multiple chakra chains. Makodo flipped in the air as he brought his right foot down. Enhanced by chakra, boom, he slammed against the chains. The chains enveloped in flames. Naruto jumped away quickly as he flashed his right foot, putting out the fire before it could incinerate his feet. He frowned as he went through hand signs, lightning style. Lightning Dragon! Dragon made from lightning as it shot towards Naruto. Jutsu crashed into the chains. He flashed behind the red head, but the chains were there as well. As he covered his arm in lightning chakras, he smashed his arm into the defense. The same damn thing happened. Flames burst out, causing him to retreat once again. You're gonna play like that, huh? Said Makodo. Take all my attacks until I tire. Well, let's see how your chains work against these. As he pulled out explosive bombs, as he threw them all around Naruto and placed them together. Burn! Chain of attacks went off as everything exploded, swallowing up Naruto's chains in the explosion. You couldn't even see them anymore. Makodo laughed, but his laughter died in his throat. When the smoke subsided, the chains, they were still there. And Naruto was completely unharmed. It was just a crater around him, but he was goddamn fine as he saw the barrier visible. He was clearly dealing with the Uzumaki here. He could not forget that. He looked around and came up with a plan. He dashed towards Natsu with a kunai, but he didn't change direction and run towards the knocked out Tetsu. He picked the boy up from the ground as he wagged his finger at Natsu to not move. Stay there, he said, or. As he then turned towards the barrier. Apparently I can't get through your barrier, and one of my tools is already dead. You underestimate your sensei a little bit. Nevertheless, if you want him to live, come out of your comfort zone. Despicable, said Naruto as his eyes turned cold. I should have just snapped your bones that day. As he came out of his chain dome. Good boy, Makodo said. Now, catch, as he threw Tetsu towards Naruto. As Naruto moved towards his teammate and jumped to catch Genin. Naruto, there's a... But Natsu was cut off as the explosion and ignite. When Naruto caught Tetsu with both of his hands, a tag on his back glowed as it exploded. As Makodo flashed behind Naruto as he brought his kunai down. But Mihiro flashed between them as he grabbed Naruto. As Makodo slashed as Mihiro got slashed across his back. But Mihiro jumped away with Naruto. As the man placed on Naruto, he dropped down to one knee, panting hard. Poison, Makodo said. Like that little explosion. Can you smell the beautiful smell of roast flesh? Naruto held out his hands with a poof as he grabbed the Fuma shuriken that came. He threw it towards Makodo. The man simply sidestepped it. But as he did, there was a poof. Got you, said Naruto behind the man. As Makodo turned to see Naruto as he grabbed the feet, aimed toward his face. Too slow, brat. But Naruto's body started to light up as he exploded in a shower of flames. Makodo leaped out of the explosion, his body cinched. But as he did, he was impaled, chains bursting through his arms and legs. Coughed up blood. You damn brat. That was just a diversion to get closer to me. As Naruto smiled, a wicked, cruel smile. I can't make this too long, there's an emergency, said Naruto. As a chain came from Naruto's hand and wrapped around the man's body tight. Really tight. Up to his forehead. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if your body was being crushed slowly? Do you know what the pain is? To have your lungs and heart be crushed by your rib cage. Have you ever heard things snap inside your body? Makodo cried out in agonizing pain as his bones were being crushed together. Blood gushed out of his nose, his eyes, mouth, and ears. Nothing left but death, said Naruto as his chains burst with crimson flames on them. Makodo cried out in agonizing pain as the chains burned into oblivion. As Naruto turned, Sensei! Sensei! Not so shouted. As Naruto closed his eyes, he didn't want to see the body that exploded in his arms. He dispelled the clone, placed kunais around the fearful woman. He erected a barrier around them without saying a word. As Naruto walked towards Natsu, stay behind. I will get help in Konoha. There are still those women. He has been poisoned. I cannot allow him to die when he took it to save me, said Naruto. As he pushed the man onto his back. What about them? And Tetsuya? They won't be going anywhere inside that barrier, said Naruto as he gave so a small piece of paper. It's like that Onvus will come here. They're the fastest, said Naruto with clean up mess. And he needs medical attention. Before Natsu could say anything, Naruto blurred out of sight. Natsu was surprised at the speed that Naruto used. He never saw him move that fast before. Natsu shook his head as he slumped down on his knees. As the situation fully played on his head, he was alone. Tetsuya was gone. Was this the brutality of the shinobi world? Had Naruto not hid himself from that man and just fought, things would have played out differently. Redhead had his speed and thought. He could have held the man while their sensei came, but he had chosen to be a coward and hide in his comfort zone, and that man used Tetsuya to get to him. For a moment, Natsu thought that Naruto would say no, but that changed nothing right now. Fact was, their team was destroyed because Naruto chose not to fight. When he knew he needed to fight for their team to live. Was he to be blamed for all of this? That man attacked them. And it wasn't because Naruto was the fourth Hokage's son. It hadn't been for him, their team would have still be up and running in Tetsuya. As he clenched his fists, at Konoha Onvu caught up to the speed in Naruto before he even reached the village. He was close though. He told him to follow his trail and they will find what they need to find. 3 of the 4 gone back while one of them took Naruto and Mihiro to the hidden leaf. It all happened quickly and Naruto was brought to the office to explain what happened. He seemed tired, worn out. He just wanted to take a nap. He was kind of angry as well. If he would have just snapped that man's bones back then, none of this would have happened. None of this. Enemies or dangerous to let live. And you would never make that mistake once again. Give an enemy a chance to live and they will come back to haunt you. Enemies were meant to be eradicated. They were supposed to be incinerated by his flames. What happened, Naruto? Minato asked. A serious look on his face, but his tone was soft. As Naruto opened his eyes partially as he responded, that man who attempted to kidnap Hinata attacked us to miss an ends. He slashed his forehead protector before everything. As Naruto explained, as Minato asked when he was finished, why didn't you use the kunai I gave you? That would have solved all the matters. If Naruto had used that kunai, his presence would have stopped anything from happening. He wanted to be there. I didn't have it, said Naruto with a bitter smile. It has been dancing in my room. Minato understand the bitterness. Naruto lost a teammate and it could have been avoided. Everything could have been avoided, but Minato was not going to play the blame game. There were just some things beyond one control. Minato smiled sadly as he looked towards his son. He didn't want his son to end up like Kakashi. One of his teammates were dead and his sensei was in the hospital, having taken the slash for him. What could be going on inside Naruto's head? What could he be thinking at this point? Kakashi had recovered, well mostly recovered. Perhaps he could be some help. He would call the Jonin to help with the situation, and then there was Kurenai. As Naruto seemed to speak well about her, since she did train with his team, perhaps another foreign touch will do to help greatly. Do you blame yourself? Asked Minato. I do not know, said Naruto. Can I go home? I want to sleep. And just shut off, he said. Minato nodded as he allowed him to leave. He still needed the official report. Mihiro was in no condition to talk, but if he does wake up, the man will be the one to give the original report. Naruto could give a detailed report without being partial though. As the man sighed, there was time like these that he needed Tsunade to be here. She was the best medic The hospital could not handle certain things and poison was a delicate matter. He just hoped that that poison was not that deadly. Minato's side, he also had to deal with a dead Genin. It really brought a frown on his lips that he had to deal with. Losing someone so young, the responsibility was on him since becoming Hokage. He has been dealing with it since becoming one. This of course made things complicated because his son was involved in the matter. He should have known that that man would come back once again. It would have been better if Naruto had kept him alive. But the redhead said that he had crushed him and turned him into ash. Well, that was one problem gone. Kumo would not mourn about it, but he would have to inform the Raikage about it. A couple hours later, Natsu was brought in front of him by an envoy. Minato looked at the boy, who was wearing a blank expression on his face, as Minato could understand the blank look. Natsumura, he said, tell me what happened, as it was good to get parts of the story, to compile everything together, as Natsumura was going to tell everything. As a part of him, a large part of him believed that this was Naruto's fault. Being Naruto's father or not, he was going to tell the Hokage what he saw, how everything played out. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Put Through Hell and Adopted by the Raikage. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. And stay in tune for a brand new episode over on Anime Making 3, which I do hope that you guys will enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we get the hell out of here? See you guys soon. Peace.